Hey everyone, how's it going today? This is Jeff from Remesh. We're doing our kind of weekly conversation online. Again, we're kind of being a little bit more experimental. In the past, we've done some things where we've had some people on, talked about a certain topic, and then utilized the conversation live to then interact and get their opinions and get your opinions specifically about that topic. Today, we're going to do a little bit different. It's going to be almost like a testing out a one-on-one type of conversation. So I'm going to be able to speak to you directly through the camera, as well as then interact with you directly through the platform. Kind of like we usually start off these conversations, I send over some instructions just to kind of give you an overview of how this is going to work, how your participation is going to work today. So I'm going to go ahead and send that over to the group. And then we're going to kind of get started on the conversation. Today's topic, I actually want to get your opinion on what your experience is on Mechanical Turk, what specifically could improve your experience. And then just, for those of you that have done some of these conversations on Remesh before, again, looking for your feedback. We want to keep you center into our process and how we interact with the community and just understand how we can improve, what questions you have, and just really engage in a dialogue with you guys. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and send these through. I am doing everything today. So multitasking, talking on camera, sending stuff. So if I get distracted, don't judge me too much. So I'm going to send out something to the group. So for those of you, again, just trying to have a perspective, learn a little bit about you. I'm going to start off just asking if everyone's ready to go. And then I'm actually going to open up the floor first if you have anything you want to say as we get started. And then I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to talk about like what we think about and how we think about utilizing and working with the Mechanical Turk community and where we really envision while continuing to want to work with the Mechanical Turk community. And so interested in your thoughts. Again, really just want to have a conversation, see how this goes. It's a little bit different. Be honest, a little awkward on my side. So I'm kind of interacting through chat. Then I'm kind of talking to a camera. Can't see anyone or actually interact on a voice. It's just me monologuing as we go through. So hopefully this is fun. So. All right. So everyone is ready to go. So just first off, anything you want? Cool. So I'm just going to ask the group kind of if there's anything you want to say before we get started. Sometimes, for example, in the past when we've done these where we've had audio issues and we didn't really know until halfway through or 10 minutes through or 15 minutes through. So kind of just like using this time to like open it up. We want to kind of open up the communication with you a little bit better and again kind of go through this. So thanks. As you kind of like are answering responses, I actually have a little bit of a dashboard, and I might try to show a little bit of this to you later, just so you get a perspective of what I'm seeing. But I start to see the responses that everyone's saying, and then as you're going through that voting process, when you see those two pairs of responses, that's going to drive. So I understand what are the responses that everyone submitted, what are the ones that are the group is agreeing with, what things are people saying, and so forth. So cool. Looks like audio is good. Looking forward to a great conversation. So we're going to start off. My first question is going to be just around like how do you rate your experience on Mechanical Turk? Interested to see what you guys think. Good. Thanks. Got some questions around any fun plans for the weekend for me. Nothing too crazy. My life is not as exciting. Have some plans to go to class on Saturday, and hopefully see some friends over the weekend as well. But nothing too interesting. So I'm here based actually in New York City. This is my cube at the moment that I'm sitting in. So get a little vision of my life on a day-to-day outside of just when we're talking on these conversations where it's just me as a picture and just the chat based. Again, trying to humanize this a little bit differently. So sounds like the audio is all good this time. So great, thank you. Let's get started. So I'm just going to quickly just want to get your rating of Mechanical Turk overall, and then we're going to start asking some questions. So I'm going to try to provide some commentary as I'm seeing it go through, and then we'll go from there. Oh. So I'm going to scroll through some of the things that people said on the last one as I'm waiting for it. Says today's session is interesting. Video is a little skippy, so we'll see what we can do kind of on that moving forward. Looking forward to participating. Let's go. Where's the photo in the background taken? That is something I got off the internet. Oh, I love coffee, so that was my way of showing that through that today. So, all right. Just going to kind of try to get into, looks like we have people that are fairly positive within the group. We want to understand your reasoning behind the specific response. So we're going to go through that and see. But yeah, overall looks fairly positive. There's some people that dislike it, some people that hate it, some people are in between. It looks around 70–80% of people that are positive about the experience utilizing Mechanical Turk. So it's good to hear. Good to hear people are doing this and actually enjoy somewhat the experience. Interested in kind of going through some of this a little bit more. But yeah. So a lot of kind of the responses I'm seeing in, and I guess you'll, thanks for kind of going through this. Kind of, easy way to make money, extra money, things you change to make it better pay, more work, and to weed out the kind of bad requesters. I don't know specifically how do you find a good requester versus a bad requester. I know that there are some forums that are outside of Mechanical Turk that are active in terms of what their experiences are, what the reviews and ratings of the different requesters. I think it's not necessarily directly in the platform. So I'm actually curious. I might even ask a follow-up of how do you find a good requesters overall. I saw a question in there that popped up in terms of like what can you guys do to give us better data. I think overall, I think what we see is from the Mechanical Turk community, actually very good verbose responses, generally good engagement as we have these interactions. That's why we like talking to you and going through it. So I think where we see we sometimes recruit participants from other types of online platforms. But some of the struggle that we find in online is that people, because they're faceless and because they're interacting, sometimes people are less informative in terms of what they say. They don't give a lot of details in their response, or they don't give a lot of the reasonings behind their response. And what really is valuable for us for these type of conversations is to have verbose responses, have a lot of text that's not just text in terms of length, but text in terms of insightful information. So what we do, and we work with different companies. Ourselves, we're just a tech startup here in New York, and we have offices in Cleveland as well, in Ohio. But I'm based here in New York. But I think what we work with different brands to kind of understand products and like what people think about products and what could be improved, new concepts and new things coming out, to branding and advertising, to sometimes we're just trying to understand a group of people and what they care about and what's interesting to them. We've done some things for politics and just general nonprofit area to understand what people care about. So it's a wide variety, but really what it comes down to is really going through and getting to the richness and depth of responses from people that we really care about. Because that's what's informative. If we wanted to just get a quick yes, no type of response, like people wouldn't utilize this type of format. They would use a survey or something else that's more quantitative. What's really interesting and why people come and work with us is because of the verbose answers and the qualitative nature of what we're doing. And so the more that can be informative and rich and thoughtful, the better that the responses are, the better data that we're able to actually understand, and really better ability for us to understand the group of people that we're talking to. I'll even like kind of talk through a little bit of a story of the founding of Remesh as a company. So we didn't really start in market research at all, or trying in this way. We actually were started by our founder, Andrew Konya, who you've seen on camera previously, but he was doing a PhD in computational physics, and at the time he was talking to some friends in area in the Middle East that were in conflict, and they felt like the whole world was talking about what was going on, and there was different sides of the story, but they felt like what the world was talking about from the media, from their leaders, didn't necessarily represent what they thought or what they believed in or what they felt needed to be communicated. And because of that, they were just frustrated. They were frustrated that they just didn't feel like their voice was being properly heard and understood. And so Andrew he did a lot of work in artificial intelligence at that point in time, and they kind of went to him like, hey, you do some artificial intelligence stuff, that's cool. Is there a way that you can use artificial intelligence to understand a large group of people better, so that we can talk as a group to our leaders or to each other from different sides of a conflict and be better understood? And that's really the understanding and kind of the background of where Remesh came about, which kind of comes through. And I think what we try to do is that it's not just that we're about data and how to cut the data, manipulate the data to make it really insightful and so forth. What we really care about and what at the heart of the company is to understand people at its root, and like, how can we better understand your viewpoint, the people that we're talking to through this. So I think that's what we strive to do. I hope it is enjoyable and you feel like you're being heard and your voice is being properly communicated through that. If it's not, that's specifically what we care about, as being able to then improve that experience and being able to better understand you as a group of people, because that's what makes us interesting, is the focus on understanding people genuinely and hopefully authentically, versus just trying to gather a bunch of data, crunch through a lot of algorithms or fancy data analysis to get to something. But it's really about that authentic engagement with people, and keeping the human aspect of it. That's why we do it in a way here where it's very chat-based, very chat-based, and makes it hopefully feel like you're talking to me, or when I'm interacting on these conversations, or talking to other people. So I'm going to continue asking questions. I'm going to give you a chance to talk, and if you have anything you want to ask me, I'm going to kind of look at some of the responses. So I'm going to be a little bit quiet for a minute, just as I kind of look through what people have said so far, and then we'll kind of get back into talking to you. So it looks like kind of like around what we can improve. Yeah, listening more to the workers and requests to improve the platform, institute a minimum pay, better support, better relationships with requesters, eliminate competitive nature in acquiring hits. I'm interested in that. Get rid of master qual. Actually have a worker advocate on Amazon. More accountability oversight from Amazon in terms of mediating disagreements over unfair pay or rejections. A lot of kind of things around pay, like looks around transparency and pay, two large aspects that really need to be worked on. Listen to user feedback and stuff, get people to put on platform by constantly removing features, and sabotaging workers' experience. So kind of interesting feedback. If I have the opportunity to provide feedback through this, I will certainly pass it on to the folks at Amazon as we go through this. But I think it's interesting to see so forth. So it's kind of like what makes hits interesting, interacting with other Turkers in games. Hopefully you feel like you're interacting with other Turkers through this experience, because you're seeing their responses and interacting, versus just being in like a silo when you're just kind of going in and this is a survey or this is a transcription process that you're going through or anything like that. And hopefully this feels a little bit more like interacting with other people, making it fun, clear understanding, so forth. Kind of looking at what would you ask us? So I think the top thing right now is we're going to go through. That's a good question. What is the end goal of Remesh? What does the platform want to end up? That's a good question. So that's actually part of why we're doing these weekly sessions and doing it a little bit more different by interacting live video into it, to be able to try to see how we can add another element of really like not thinking about utilizing Remesh as just something to gather information, but how to use it as an engagement, a way to engage with a group of people for video. I think we see a lot of stuff like with live online video through Facebook Live or YouTube Live or Instagram Live or every other live version that there is out there. But it's still the one way, or even like if you talk about Twitter, it's a lot of one-to-many communication. We're trying to find a way to really bring the voice back. And so it's those ways when there's a one-to-many communication, we want to see us as a platform being the ability for the people that are watching or engaging with that content or that person to be able to have a voice back to them. And so again, like not necessarily from we're trying to do research, but it's about engaging back. And so that's in the future where we're trying to continue to focus and look at these opportunities where and being experimental in the way that we interact back with people and give you that kind of engagement. Of course, through that process, we're going to learn information and really insightful information from you, which is valuable for companies as they're interacting with people. It's valuable for anyone if it's a personality, a celebrity, if it's a brand, a company. Obviously, your input is valuable. And hope from just understanding what you care about, what you think, what you don't like, what could be improved. But we want to do it in a way that it's just natural. So those type of things are really what we're trying to do. Gonna kind of see who's participated in Remesh conversations before, and then I'm gonna ask kind of a question. Just generally how we could improve your experience joining Remesh conversations. So it looks like a good amount, 40% of you are veterans of utilizing Remesh versus a couple people, on the first time. So welcome for those the first time joining these hits. Hopefully you're enjoying it so far. I'm going to go back to some of the other questions, see what else people said around what would you ask me and Remesh about. So do we have the ability to directly speak with Amazon staff who can make changes to the platform? So I'll be very transparent in that. I don't have a specific mechanism to do that. However, as we continue to work with Amazon Mechanical Turk community more, I think it's important for us to find ways to interact and show ways to do it. I can't promise anything by any means, even if we can get someone to listen to us, but we do view this community as something important for us, and something that we want to continue to engage with. And so we'll, if it makes sense and we really find interesting feedback, we'll certainly try to find a way to provide that back. What do we do with all the data we get from us? So it depends on the conversation. For these kind of conversations, I'm doing this live online. We're going to post it online afterwards. We don't really use the data specifically, unless it's some feedback, exercises or interesting things. But we use it to drive the conversation that we're having online so much. Sometimes we're using these, sometimes what we're doing on a week-to-week basis is used for us to demonstrate new things that we're doing, or just how the platform works to new people that would be potentially using it. And then sometimes it's like we're doing stuff on behalf of a brand or company or something where they're using it to make decisions. So if it's a product that you're showing feedback on, or just a general understanding of how you behave, it may be a company that wants to understand how people behave and and uses that for helping make decisions, whether it's developing new products or being innovative on that, and so forth. So I'm going to ask one last question, which I know I'm a little bit over on the 20 minutes. I'm going to quickly that. If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. But definitely this is interesting. Some of the pushback that we see on our side in kind of going to other companies to utilize the Amazon Mechanical Turk community versus other online communities is it's a pushback of people being skeptical about using Mechanical Turk. They feel like it's not as vetted as others. We, in some cases, find that it is vetted as well, and the people that are on there are I feel like more authentic in how they respond, and you're not necessarily just doing it very quickly to make money. You actually care about the responses and put the effort into making good responses. And we view that as really valuable and appreciate that as we go through it. It's a matter of convincing other people that it's that's important. I'm going to wrap up after this and send out the code to each of you, and then go from there. I'll look through, give a peek to talk through any other questions that you had in that part where I ask questions, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So, but definitely appreciate everyone talking today, giving your feedback, giving your thoughts, and look forward to continuing these conversations. Hopefully, we're going to be doing a lot more of this video version of it, where we're going to be interacting with you, kind of adding another element to it, trying to make it more human in how we're interacting, and definitely want to continue to try that. I'm just going to kind of talk through this again. Thank you so much for participating. I'm just going to peek up and see kind of some of the things that here. I'm going to continue talking. If you don't want to stick around, go ahead and leave and go on with your day. But for those sticking around, I'll talk for a couple minutes here, and then we'll turn this off and get going. So, you know, long-term plans for Remesh and Mechanical Turk. I think that kind of, we talked a little bit about it before. We do want to continue using it and using it more. We want to use it more for the research, potentially in the future where clients are doing more work or like expanding our use with it. Again, I think we think it's we find a lot of interesting comments and ideas from the community. There's limitations there in terms of like what we can do and how we can get specific groups of people in, which is much more difficult within Amazon Mechanical Turk. That's maybe feedback from our side to the community or the people in charge in terms of how to make it more useful or more valuable, and how we actually find the right people that we want to talk to. Sometimes people that we work with want to talk to a very specific group or very niche group of people, and so being able to get those people specifically into a conversation is something that sometimes is challenging. Kind of like overall, you know, how can we improve the experience? Look at needs to be more Remesh hits available. So great, that's great feedback. And overall, you like the video experience. I think again, this is something that we want to continue to do more. These are meant to kind of pilot and test it out before we roll it out more, just to see how the experience works, how to make the experience as good as possible. So enjoy, like the people are actually getting value out of it and feel like they're getting more out of it. So that kind of gives us the information to continue down this path. Joining smooth, more hits, easier to catch part of, so forth. So good positive comments. So appreciate that. I'm going to dig through all of them. I don't want to do it all on camera because it'll be a while, but I do want to look through each and every one, because this is really what was really valuable for us, is to like understand how we can improve or what we can do better or what we're doing already that can really improve the experience, or that we're doing already that we can focus and even make it better, hopefully. So again, honestly, thank you so much for participating today. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.